Here is somebody who's thought his life is over, could not climb out of a hole, has conflicting demands on him, and suddenly the solution to it all is there. Death.
I personally think this is a killer bridge. I don't see anything golden about it.
When they're in the water for a while, a day or two, all those creatures get in there. Eyeballs are sucked out, you know, there's worms and everything.
And you don't think, or I don't think, I want to jump off and die. It's just, there is a pull.
Unofficially, the number is 2,000 people. Nobody survives this jump.
Hi, my name is Porembny. I'm originally from Poland. I'm making this film because I want to know why here, in rich, beautiful, golden California, so many people choose to jump from a bridge and die. Strange, no?
The bridge has become and is the #1 venue for people to commit suicide in the world. It used to be the Eiffel Tower. The bridge was finished in 1936, and it was not more than several months afterwards where the first guy jumped. And they've been jumping ever since. And they've, in recent years, they've had the numbers exceeded or close to 50 in 1 year.
Do you believe in God?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, a lot of times people think I'm kidding, but I'll say, "You and me, right, Lord?" Well, I mean it. When I was out on the cable, the main cable coming up, I noticed down off to the right that there was like a rainbow. And usually a rainbow is like in just an arc from land to land. But this one was in a circle from the sun, and it was the angle of the sun going down into the fog, and my shadow, my form, the dark part of it, was in the center.
I met Tony's dad when I was 14, I think. We had a rough relationship, but out of it came our son Tony, and that was the only good thing that came out of it. And when Tony was almost 3 years old, his dad committed suicide, shot himself in the heart. Tony was exactly to the day the same age as his father when he died. If he was contemplating suicide, why did he start a new job that week? You know, it doesn't make sense. The last person that saw him was at about 1 o'clock in the morning. No, it was about 12:30 or 1, and said that Tony was saying, I have to go to Healdsburg and see some friends. Well, Tony's father is buried in Healdsburg, and we believe that he drove to Healdsburg, and then he drove straight to the Golden Gate Bridge, and he just stopped his car on the bridge, and he jumped. But we went in and saw him, and he had a black eye, and his jaw was broke, and he had a lot of abrasion stuff, but no broken bones. He died he had one broken rib that punctured his lung, but he died within seconds of hitting the water. I pray to God. I like to believe that when he went off the side of the bridge that he got taken away by the angels. That's what I have to try to believe. I opened Tony's eyes and I said, you see me because I'm your mom and I will always be there. And I opened his mouth and I breathed in his mouth. And I said, I gave you your first breath and now I'm giving you your last. And I swear I could hear him say, okay, Ma, it's time to go. And that's when we left. That was the last time I saw him. If Tony would have driven to the bridge that night like he did, and there would have been some barrier, something to maybe click in his mind to make him stop and think what he was doing, that I would still have him. I totally believe that.
The authorities and the newspapers were afraid that people were getting in a frenzy, those people who were thinking of committing suicide, and they wanted to be number 500. And so the newspapers, we decided that we were going to have a blackout. And so we just, among ourselves, says, okay, we're not going to print any of these numbers. And in that period, the 2-week period, there were like 12 people who tried to commit suicide by jumping off the bridge, including one man who had the number 500 plastered against his back, running down the bridge, threatening to jump over it, and they caught him, and they had to bring him back.
I'm a chief bridge painter, just a bridge painter. Basically what we do is we maintain the Golden Gate Bridge. We blast and prime and paint.
How many tons of painting you have to use to paint all this bridge?
About 5,000 gallons a year. About 5,000 gallons a year and about
200,000 originally to do the whole thing. Well, now we got these braces going out. I'm gonna go out on one of these. But you just have to be careful. Take your time. We got a little bit of a breeze. Probably about a 5 to 10 mile an hour breeze, but it's not gusting. So I'll get out here Now give me a stance. Now look at the camera.
No, we haven't had any deaths in quite a while. There's been 2 guys died since we've been painting the bridge.
Yeah.
But that's been years and years ago.
In over 60 years.
Yeah, in over 60 years, just the maintenance crew, we lost 2 guys. When they were building the bridge, they lost 11. They lost 11 guys when they built the bridge. Now, we're talking about saving the people that are trying to jump off the bridge now, right? Actually, we can kind of notice people who are acting kind of strange because we're so used to the people. We can see a person that's acting strange, and they'll report on the radio. There's somebody mid-span wearing a yellow shirt with blue pants. They're acting strange. Let's go check them out. They'll go out there on the scooter, they'll talk with them. A lot of times they're just viewing, and there's no problem, but a lot of times they are distressed. As a matter of fact, my brother jumped off this bridge in 1989, Good Friday, about 11 o'clock. The guy was 33 years old. Came out here, I guess he had some, you know, he had some drug abuse problems throughout his life. He'd been in and out of, you know, some mental institutions, and he'd been in and out of jail. And this was one of his spats between his, you know, between his jail and his halfway house. But anyway, the guy was so depressed and screwed up on drugs that he came out here at 11 o'clock at night, dove off the bridge. We never found him.
Northbound Doyle Drive backed up from Cemetery Curve, stop and go to the Golden Gate Bridge tolls. Parking lots are packed at both ends of the span.
Unfortunately, it's a world-famous landmark, and for whatever reason, it's a magnet for people that are depressed.
Wondering if we could make use of your scooter 172 this morning for a little while?
Moving down the peninsula to San Mateo, eastbound.
They don't consider all the factors of, say, their family, who are going to be wondering why they did it. The people that work here at the bridge that have to go out there and respond and sometimes actually watch them do it. And when they do it, we end up calling the Coast Guard to come out to recover the body, and it affects them also. So although they may think that it just affects them singly, there's a whole big potpourri of people that down the line, after they've already accomplished it, that it still has after effects on, and some of it's lasting to the point where some of them just can't continue doing the job, you know?
A couple, they're arguing, husband and wife. They've been, you know, together for 30 years. And they reach mid-span, he slams on the brakes, gets out of the car, slams the door, jumps over the west side. And the woman is just looking at him, because he just said, I've had it, that's it, boom, I'm out of here.
This is an altar for my son. It's what probably mothers do when one of their children dies. It doesn't matter how they die, they're gone, and so it's a part of your life. So it's just how I always want to remember. I never want to forget my son. This is his wallet. This is, it has his driver's license. And this was on the bridge. This is lamp post number 72, and this is the lamp post that the Highway Patrol wrote down that they found my son's wallet and where they saw someone fall or jump from this area. He walked from the end of the, from the parking lot where they dropped them off, and I believe he just walked here. And he came to the center of the bridge. This is where it's deepest. I think it's 220 or 230 feet. And there was also some signs. They've taken them off because I did bring it to the bridge board attention. There were signs that said, "No U-turn." Hi, John. How are you?
Hi, Maria. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How are you doing?
I'd say I was doing pretty good until this moment.
You saw Maria Martinez's son's body in the bay. Could you tell us exactly what happened?
I was standing on the bridge with a friend, and I looked down, and I saw a body. And so we went to an emergency phone. When the man picked up, I said, "I can see your emergency boat looking for a body, and I can see the body, and I can direct him to the body if you just patch me through." And the man said, "Well, where are you now?" I said, "I'm right in the center of the bridge." He said, "Well, we're going to need to take a police report."
Yeah.
And I said, "Fine, you can have a police report, but first patch me through to the boat so I can direct him to the body. It's moving quickly out to sea, and they're very far away. They're just going around in circles." He said, "Well, we really need to get a police report, so why don't I meet you at the end of the bridge in the parking lot? We'll get the police report, and then you can give us the information on the body." And I said, "Well, from the parking lot, I will no longer be able to see the body. It'll take me 15 minutes to walk there, and you'll never find the body." He said, "Well, we'd better do the police report." And I said once more, "If we do that, you're not going to find this body." And he said, "We need the police report." So I went, and they never found the body.
Real nice words about you?
I had asked the president of the board if the majority of the people that are committing suicide are white. And he said, "No, honey. I think it's totally improper to speak to me in a very demeaning way because it's a very serious subject that I'm talking about." He's not my husband. I don't know him. I've never been introduced to him. And I feel that for them to call me dear and honey is poor conduct for a president of a board of directors who earns a lot of, who gets money for these meetings. And I don't think it's appropriate.
So right ahead, Mrs. Martinez.
Thank you. Good morning. I just want to tell you that I spoke to one of the witnesses just recently, probably close to the anniversary of my son's death. And I think it's very significant because he told me that when he talked to the highway patrolman, they had no intentions of finding my son's body. They just wanted to write a report. And as soon as it happens to one of their kids, they're going to do something about it. Some of these members have been on there 35 years. They shouldn't be on this board. That's too long. They're complacent. You are the ones that hired them. And I think that when that man told me that they were not going to, that they did not want to recover my son's body, he could tell me.
I must add you to conclude here. Please.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you.
Must stop.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate your listening, and I hope that you increase the time to at least 4 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I remember it was a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And I was doing my walk across the bridge, and I noticed about 1/4 of the way over from the city, there was a crowd gathered, and there was a man on one of the overhangs who was preparing to jump, but he was in a very indecisive moment. And what was so shocking to me were all the people who were cheering him on to jump. I mean, I was simply horrified. I wanted to get away as soon as possible. But these people, it was like a sports match, you know, where they were cheering and cheering and cheering for him to jump. So I kept walking, and I got away from the scene, and then I happened to notice next day in the newspaper that he had jumped.
Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, Chevrolet! You can shove it all up your ass! DBOD in America! IRS spies in America! BZT in America! DMBOs in America! When they took the gold out of the dollar, they also took the L out of gold. Now they expect me to trust in their spelling. Well, who do they think they are? Fucking kidding!
4-8. And Happy New Year to you, sir.
I got in the car, and as I was driving, I seen a couple of signs. One of them said Los Angeles south and San Francisco north. And I just got on the freeway going towards San Francisco. The bridge had actually occurred to me when I seen the two signs. Just the big red bridge, and I had heard that a lot of people have jumped off of that and they just splat, or they usually die on the way down. Just nice blue water and a nice bridge. If I had a gun, I'm sure that I probably would have somehow blown my head off. I took some more pills, painkillers and Tylenol with codeine, and I finished whatever rum there was left. I don't know where I bought the rum up to this day. And had very, very vivid nightmares to the point where I was seeing things actually that weren't there, and I was hearing things. But I made it. I made it all the way to San Francisco, and that was probably 9 o'clock in the morning the following day. I remember it's a spectacular sight. But then I could almost see myself standing on there and then seeing myself jump and dropping. Here I am going in circles, just thinking no one anywhere, not even God, cares what happens. So what the, I may as well. The next thing I remember is a policeman pulling up behind me and getting out of his car and asking me what I was doing here. And he asked me if I was suicidal. And I told him yes. He grabbed me by the arm and they locked me up. And then I was taken to San Francisco General Hospital by a couple of other police officers who were actually nice. Once I got to the emergency psych ward and I was taken in through a couple of locked doors, I had never been around people like that ever in my life. The people that were in there were just different.
Here we go in the sharing my life. I need your help. I'm dying.
Robert, let me get you some help.
Leave it alone, man. Leave it alone.
Okay, come on, Robert.
Hello. Hello.
Relax, Robert. Doesn't look good on TV.
There you go.
It's often much more premeditated. The people who want to commit themselves, commit suicide by jumping from the bridge, often they come from long distances away. So this is something that's just not an impulsive maneuver, something they've thought about for quite some time. It is hard to say if they're more defiant, more angry or not, because I think most people who try to commit suicide are angry.
All right, Robert, I want you to hang out in here.
But the ones who go for the bridge, that's a very dramatic way to die. And so I think they may be trying to play into some myth of death. Everyone who commits suicide, for the most part, is doing it for a reason beyond the depression.
It's just really busy. Thanks, bye. It's busy, and it's busy, as you can see.
Put your clothes on. That'll help you just come down softly, you know, that's not a hard crash.
There was one time when I was talking to a patient who had taken his eye out, and he had one eye left, and there was a big hole where his other eye used to be, and I took his problem home with me. When I got home, I was filled with so much compassion that I began to hear voices telling me to take my own eye out, and or else God would die.
Amongst the people who jumped from the Golden Gate Bridge has certainly been a psychiatrist.
What happened to his mind?
I don't think it's different than a Wall Street banker or a lawyer or a filmmaker or, I mean, I think that, I think the same things that would make a psychiatrist jump make a lawyer jump. Loss of an important relationship through death, through divorce, alcoholism, drugs. A lot of people who jump are using drugs. Failed career, financial difficulties.
And once on the edge, you put your fast food outside. What do you think what's happened then in the mind of jumper?
It would have to be very quick and very impulsive, and at that point I would realize there was no turning back. Obviously.
You really thought this out, haven't you?
You're making me think it out.
But once there's another meaning to the going over the rail, because once you put a foot over the rail, then other people will get involved. There are people on the bridge walkway almost all the time, and as soon as you make that obvious gesture, then someone will become involved with you, and at that point you sort of have to decide if you're going to deal with them or if you're going to jump. It's hard to be alone anymore at that point. Well, I've actually talked with some of the bridge workers who have literally wrestled people off the bridge. We had one fellow who actually decided to make doubly sure and tied a 15-foot rope around his neck to the bridge railing and jumped off, going to hang himself on the bridge. He didn't kill himself and actually was hauled up hand over hand by bridge walkers and then fought with them.
Hi Nina, do you remember me? I don't mean to scare you. Is it okay if I come in?
Wait until Christmas time.
Do you recall what exact? I don't remember when we discovered that she had jumped and they'd saved her.
No, I remember. I was in the car driving, and they said, I heard that somebody had, jumped like the 100th person from the bridge or something like that.
I turn into a bird, ride into the sun.
I think they mentioned her name on the radio, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I was shocked. I was guilty for having 2 weeks before had her in the house and probably not done more, not been aware of how bad things were with her. I think they said that she'd been taken to Valley Medical Center.
The family didn't work very well. And I think that's one of the reasons Nina went on the street, was to try to escape from a situation that she couldn't tolerate.
So let me get the laundry going then. My fever, I bathed this morning in glycerin and my fever is down and yeah.
You look better.
All pants need to be washed.
First she, I guess, got into some Christianity, and then she was very much against the Christianity, and then she'd get into the Judaism, and then she'd sort of move out of that, and then she would do her violin a lot, and then she would drop that. Not too long ago, she did call us to help her clean up her apartment, and so Dave and I went over there, and she was definitely into ritualistic whatever in the house, putting soap and stuff in places.
So let me just have you spray down the garbage can. Go ahead and spray it down all over and wipe it up and get the disease off of it, right there.
I thought, when my mom told me what had happened, I thought, oh, Nina must have thought that she could fly, and that's why she did it. I didn't relate it at all to wanting to die.
I don't know how to cope either.
Are you happy to be around?
If you give me 5 bottles, I'll be happy to be around. I mean, you know.
It is well known that people jump off the bridge. I don't want some tens or hundreds jump off every year, so people know about it. And people think of committing suicide and they think, well, how will I do this? Well, you know, guns make noise, poison tastes bad. It's fairly easy to go to this beautiful place and go over this railing and you're gone.
I love Americans. They even risk killing themselves just to make people take notice. Like Paul, who jumped, amazingly survived.
People are so wrapped up in themselves that they would have to end something in a tragic way off a mystical place like the Golden Gate Bridge, and I think it's senseless, but society is directing people to not have worthness. You know, they're so wrapped up into the watching TV and movies and movie stars and things that are not real, and I think society is directing people in that direction to end their lives and die without a cause.
Paul was my student at Diablo Valley College 9 or so years ago. He took my whole social science sequence. He took a self-analysis course, did a Freudian self-analysis, cultural self-analysis, Jungian self-analysis. Then he took the second part of my sequence, which is radical history, political science, and he was well suited for that. He was radical already. In my social science 111 course, the radical course, I have students do what I call a citizenship requirement, which means they have to protest, they have to volunteer, they have to do something. And I tell them, look, if you go to a protest march and you just go there and then you come back and you don't do anything, well, maybe for that you get a C. Or if you go to the protest march and you bring some other people with you, and you've got some good signs and you participate a little more, then you get a B. Now, on the other hand, if you go to that protest march and you cause such a commotion that cops come, arrest you and throw you in jail, then definitely you get an A. I learned about his jump from Paul. I didn't believe it at first, but he came up with the newspaper, showed how he had jumped and how he was protesting the treatment of elderly and disabled people, and I was impressed.
Just an eerie feeling of just wind blowing and my body revolving in circles until I went down and I hit the bed. I fell and I hit my shoulder and my head first. I don't know how many feet down underneath the water I went, but I knew once I stopped going down that the oxygen in my body would bring me up to the water surface. I was thinking, I almost drowned directly under the Golden Gate Bridge, and now I'm floating out to the Pacific Ocean. Will I reach land? Will a shark get me? It almost seemed like the devil was pulling me down underneath the water, and it felt to me like Jesus Christ was pulling me out of the water. I feel that the government could be the devil that was trying to pull me under the water. At one point in time, I saw the Coast Guard driving by in a big boat with a spotlight, and the swells were approximately, I'd say, 5 to 6 feet at the time. And I remember going up and down in the swells, yelling for the Coast Guard to find me, to which they couldn't see me at the time. The way that I survived from getting hypothermia is essentially I was breathing under my shirt and keeping my chest warm. And it seemed like I was out in the water approximately 3 to 4 hours. And I could remember at one point floating out way beyond the Golden Gate Bridge, I'd say maybe a mile. I was looking at the Golden Gate Bridge with the full moon in the background, and I started hearing water breaking on the shoreline. And at that point in time, I said, I've made it to shore, and I couldn't believe it. I don't know how I survived. I think it's the grace of God.
Oh. I think I've picked up or been out on 16 suicides so far in my 2 years here. None of them have survived yet. I try not to look, to tell you the truth. I try not to look because then it'll get to me too much. Blunt trauma, spinal injuries, broken necks. It's just like hitting cement when they hit the water from that height. And they usually don't have a pulse and they're not breathing. We got a call. I was on duty and we were just about to go to bed. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and we got a call that 2 females had jumped from the bridge. So we came out and we picked them both up. I was the only emergency medical technician on duty. They were both deceased, pronounced them dead. The story was one was going over the rail and the other one just told her to wait, and then they both ended up talking on the bridge and they both decided to jump at the same time. Neither of the women knew each other, they just met each other on the bridge.
What do you think about Paul's plan to protest from the Golden Gate Bridge next Sunday using the garbage can?
A garbage can? This particular can looks a little small to me, but if Paul wants to do that, I'll help him.
I'll take you up on that.
I'm not going to give him that damn garbage can.
I wouldn't expect you to get in the garbage can.
I want to go back out on the Golden Gate Bridge with the garbage can and hang from the Golden Gate Bridge and hold a vigil for at least 5 to 7 days. And I feel that'll gain more attention to my plight and to try to make this a better place to live.
We had one negotiation where a woman wanted to kill herself with a chainsaw, the kind of saw that you start up with a gasoline-driven chainsaw. And we had 2 cases like that. One where the lady wanted to lay her neck onto the saw and cut her head off, cut her own head off. Well, I don't think she was very familiar with chainsaws, but you have to keep your hand on the throttle to keep it going. And when she laid her neck towards the saw, she caught her hair in it, and it jammed the saw, so she couldn't kill herself, and she couldn't get off the saw either.
I'm not afraid of possibly being arrested or going to jail because I am sincere and I do believe in my cause.
I was on a jumper one time who was from the tropics, not from the United States, and he had a skin disease, a tropical skin disease, and it wasn't terminal, and it was serious but not dangerous, and he was being literally driven crazy by the itching, and he was going to jump from the bridge, because of the skin disease.
I'm curious why you decided that this is the best means to your end.
I just feel so strong about the direction that this country's going, and it's not going in the right direction. And I think that there's got to be more people that stand up for what they believe in and be willing to put their life on the line.
That makes sense. It sounds really risky, though, and I would be concerned that something had happened to you.
San Francisco, as a city, is very supportive. It's very nurturing, and it's very open to people with lots of different cultures, languages, and also behaviors. But the reality is, if you can't make it, if you can't assimilate in San Francisco, then you probably can't assimilate anywhere. Most people kill themselves to try to bring some sort of clarity, some sort of control back in their life. And the Golden Gate Bridge for them represents control. It represents an end to chaos and an end to pain. And so for that, it's like, for many people, the end of the rainbow. And so it kind of looks like a rainbow out there, if you can see it out there. It's broad and large and orange and gold color.
We've had a report from the UK documentary crew at Vista Point of a jump attempt in progress. The guy's easy to spot. He's wearing a green shirt, sunglasses, has a guitar, and has a garbage bin. Please investigate.
I just wanted to explain what happened on the bridge.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
when we walk following Paul Arab to trying to do something, he changed his mind, fortunately for us, for everybody, and he leave us with this garbage bin that I need to now carry on with me, or leave maybe here if the authority of the bridge allowed me, but surely they don't like us anymore. We finished the shooting and we will be back soon to United Kingdom, leaving this beautiful bridge behind us and other people who maybe wants to come here and do whatever they want to do.
This is a prayer that comes from the New England primer of 1691. And again, it's the "Now I lay me down to sleep" that every American knows, but with parts of it that most of us haven't heard. Our days begin with trouble here. Our life is but a span, and cruel death is always near. So frail a thing is man. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Xerxes did die, and so must I. Apparently in 1691 we were a little more prepared for how fragile we are, for the fact that life does lead towards the grave, and that for many of us, that's not the worst of all choices.